Welcome to Youth Voices with your host, Miss EDISA EUGENE, where we focus on youth advocacy, youth empowerment in academics, entrepreneurship, sports, marginalized youth, and more. Tune in every Thursday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Youth Month 2022. Devant ensemble et toute jeunesse. Evolve. Growing youth for an inclusive and transformed society. Are you ready? When I look at where I'm coming from, I know I'm blessed, and I close my eyes and smile. Sometimes I feel like the richest man in Babylon, and I've done my best, so everything's alright inside. Every morning, I rise, I stare at the sun. I know it is a blessing. When I look at where I'm coming from, I know I'm blessed, and I close my eyes and smile. Sometimes I feel like the richest man in Babylon, and I've done my best, so everything's alright inside. Every morning, I rise, I stare at the sun. I know it is a blessing. So when the evening comes, I lift up my eyes to this, I'm blessed, oh man. With my two hands in the air as far as I can. Yeah. As far as I can. I can. Yeah. My two hands in the air as far as I can. Oh, every morning I rise, I stare at the sun. I know it is a blessing. Yeah. Lift up my eyes to this, I'm blessed, oh man. Ooh. Sometimes I'm lost and far from home, but I'll find my way. I follow my heart, I know I'll be found someday. While I'm lost, I learn and live. What do you say? Let's have a good time until that day. Every morning I rise, I stare at the sun. I know it is a blessing. So when the evening comes, I lift up my eyes to this, I'm blessed, oh man. With my two hands in the air as far as I can. Yeah. As far as I can. I can. Yeah. My two hands in the air as far as I can. Oh, every morning I rise, I stare at the sun. I know it is a blessing. Yeah. Lift up my eyes to this, I'm blessed, oh man. With my two hands in the air as far as I can. Yeah. As far as I can.
Yes, and welcome back to Youth Voices, and I am your host, Miss EDISA EUGENE. Of course, last week we had a short break. I'll call it a short break because we had a little vacation. I'm hoping that we all had a great time, and this afternoon we are back to just enjoy this program. And of course, as you know, this afternoon would be nothing different because we have a very prestigious, can I use that word, guest with us this afternoon, one which I believe goes unrecognized. And so this afternoon with me in studio, we have Mr. Tevin Saint Jean, who is from our community or Soufre. He has been doing big moves. And I know many of us might know him, but there may have some of us who don't. And so, of course, I want to welcome you, Tevin, in studio with us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me. I mean, this was long awaited. I mean, we was talking about this for a couple weeks already. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Great, great. And of course, I am happy to have you with us this afternoon. I know that you are here on vacation. Yes, and so I am happy that you were able to make some time in your schedule in order to accommodate us um, having you. And of course, we're diving right into it this afternoon because a lot of us are curious as to how is Tevin just out there? What is going on with Tevin? So first, I want to ask you, who is Tevin Saint Jean?
Um, for those who don't know me well, from the community of Sufre, I mean, I've been playing sports pretty much all my life. I would say I have a bunch of persons in my family who do play sports,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I think it was almost inevitable me playing sports, whether it be football, basketball, volleyball, track and field, um, swimming, anything of that sort. So um, I'm just a humble young man with sometimes a loud personality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I've humbled myself over the years a lot due to experiences that I've come across. I'm from Forbes in Sufra. Most people know me from that area. Most people know me from my secondary school days
Yes.
and my success playing for the national team, and also know me since I was professional. So, um, yeah, I guess that's. I don't know if you want me to go really deep into who I am. But yeah, I'm Tevin Sinja. I'm 26 years old, and I'm from Suffolk, St. Lucia. I'm a professional volleyball player. Been playing pro since I was 20 years old. That's 2016, and ever since then, I've just been doing my thing. And yeah,
Okay, nice. So, of course, you gave us so much so far. So, first, you mentioned that you have been playing many sports in many sporting areas, and that is good because we see that you are now focused on one major one, which we'll be addressing this afternoon. But what are the other sporting areas that you have been involved in?
uh, I think my most of my success was in basketball. It was. I mean, during my school days, I mean, we won national championships, school championships. I played for Sufre. We had our success there as well. I played football where I had to try out for the national team, and there was a whole drama between there because I had to choose between football or volleyball to go either Haiti or El Salvador at the time, and I had to make that choice then. Um, I've had my success also in track and field as well.
Okay.
Running at school, running the 200, 400 meters and 800 meter. Um, yeah, I also did try swimming as well.
Okay.
Where they wanted me to swim, and when Sufret tried to have a little swim team, but I didn't really continue there. And cricket, I used to play cricket as well, but then I just felt like I was doing too many sports at that time. So in school, teachers used to tell me I was out of school too many times, so they wanted me to stay in school more. So I had to give up on cricket,
Okay.
and I even went as far as doing ballet as well. But
Oh wow.
ballet was more for my flexibility
Okay.
and pivot
Understood.
and stuff like that. So that's mainly the reason why I went down doing it. And also, it was because of a girl at the time.
Oh wow.
But but yeah, that's a whole another topic right there.
So we could see right there that you are basically an all-rounder, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because you have so many different sporting interests. And I mean, I really want to question you on why did you choose volleyball over, was it football? Football, right?
Football and basketball and football, really.
Which one
Yeah.
was it? Football
It
or?
was pretty much all of them, but more basketball because that's what where my real talent was.
Okay, and since you just
Well,
mentioned your real talent, why would you focus more now on volleyball and not basketball?
At the time, I would be honest with you, when I looked at the reality of sporting disciplines in St. Lucia, at the time, it was only volleyball really traveling out of Ireland to go to different countries and playing. And for me, I love planes. So the fact that I was getting a flight for me to go to another country to
Yeah.
playing that sport, for me, I was blown away by it. So I was like, okay, if I'm gonna be going countries, then let me just continue that sport. But everyone knew my passion was basketball, and I really was into it. Football as well, but at the same time, I just felt like there was too much going on in the football world, especially in Soufre. And for me
Yeah.
personally, I just didn't want to be a part of that. The
The competition.
the not really the competition personally. It just became too much of a friend thing for me,
Okay.
and I just didn't like. If I'm being brutally honest, at the time there was a lot of biasness and friendly thing in there, and
Selection.
not based on your hard work or anything like that that you put in at the time. So I just felt like, you know what, it's kind of a waste of my time, and I just played it just for fun, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, but I chose volleyball. At the time, I chose volleyball because I just felt like it was more of an opportunity for me to excel there on the island. And because it wasn't so recognized, I used to tell myself, well, you know what? If I could make it in this sport, then I could help the sport be big like the other mainstream sports in St. Lucia. So that was one of the challenges that I gave myself when and the reason why I joined volleyball and I continue to play volleyball.
Okay. Kelly, I love your whole explanation there. And so now that you are focusing on volleyball, I mean, you have mentioned that you realize that was the only sport persons would have gotten opportunities to travel out of St. Lucia, right?
Yep.
However, I know in our community of Sufre, we do not cater to any volleyballers as of now, from my knowledge. So how did you start? Knowing that there is nothing here really for you to practice in your community, how did you start your whole football career?
Volleyball, correct?
Well, volleyball, my
Yeah.
apologies.
Um, it started from SCSS. There was a coach. First of all, the whole reason I started volleyball was at a basketball camp. And then there was a coach, I don't know their last names, but there was a guy named Nihai from Palmis, and Leroy. And they knew the sport at that time, and they came to the camp and just teaching us how to dig. And basically from there, a national coach came down, Terry Verdant. He saw me, didn't think much of me at the time. Then a Cuban coach came, he saw me, I was like, what are you doing here? And then I saw his get into school, how he sent me, Mr. Charles. There was a Jamaican guy there, Marvin James, Mr. Antoine. And they used to always push me and see me playing. And although they liked me in other sports like basketball and football, but some used to even like the volleyball scheme that I was on as well. So um, it became it became the sport that I it became just something that I just fell in love with, to be honest, and the challenges that came with it. I don't know if I answered your question or did. You could repeat the question, why I
Okay,
could.
so I just want to know how did you start in that professional career?
As a pro, as a pro, basically, a friend of mine, Julian B, said. I've said it so many times, but I could never stop saying it because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. Julian B said he went to his first professional contract, and it wasn't any volleyball association or any ministry, anyone like that who got me any contracts. They're not really responsible for that. But when he went to play pro, he told me basically, keep improving, keep doing my thing. I'll be the next in line. And I told him in 2 years, I feel like I'll be good. I'll be good enough. And then that's 2014 May. And when he came home 2016 May, and he saw the difference on how I improved, he's like, "Oh my God, like let me tell a coach about you." And then it just happened that I believe so big in manifestation. I was working so hard in these 2 years. One coach messaged him and asked him for a um a young player who plays his position with similar skills, and he told him about me, and then that's how I got the coach added me. I remember sweating on the couch that day, just didn't know how to think about it, didn't know what to think about it. How am I gonna tell my mom I'm about to be a pro and do all that? And my dad, how am I gonna tell them what are they gonna think? And yeah, and from there, the coach told me he's gonna give me my first professional contract in Greece, and yeah, I turned pro after that.
Now that's impressive, definitely, because we see that you have definitely been making big moves and you took baby steps to get there. And that is very good, knowing that you are being recognized for your talents by those around you. Because
Mhm.
of them, you were able to get as far as you are today. But how many years have you been playing as a professional?
I've been a pro since 2016. When I left here, if I could remember the day, the 28th of August 2016, I went to Greece. Um, yeah, that's when I turned pro.
Okay, very well as well. And what has the experience been like now that
Overseas.
you, yes, overseas and just being a professional from our small country?
Um, when you over there, it's like you black, so they automatically think you are with this crazy talent that they're bringing you all the way over there. So they expect a lot out of you. It's been hard also because you're alone. You're not with like any family. You don't have any friends. You're in a whole different country where the language is different, the culture is different. So it if you don't have a strong mindset, it kind of like swallows you whole because you don't have any real support apart from what you see on your phone. Because in the professional world, everyone just think that you could everyone is fighting for their position, why they should be a starter. And yeah, sometimes they go based on your practice and how you behave in practice. So it's a lot of pressure, and especially as an international player, they expect you to be like God basically.
So would you say that it has been a hard journey, like a path to get
Yeah,
there?
it was hard, especially the first 2 years. Injuries. My first season, so I got an injury to my back and came home. The next season was struggle for me to find a contract. When I found one, there was a whole scandal with transfers, which that's a whole nother story
Yeah.
there. Um, and then 2019, 18-19 season, I went to play in Komotini, Greece, and then from there, my career just went. It took off. Yeah, so I would say the last 3 years ish, 3 4 years ish, it started picking up, but it was definitely a hard first 2 3 years, just dealing with everything, everyone not getting the support that you need. You feel like you knowing that you have the talent in you, but you're just not getting the opportunity. It kind of frustrates you, and it will really break you down mentally.
Yeah.
And it's at that point. I always like to tell this to all my friends and people who close to me, my family. If you could think of something good, even in a bad moment, that's what separates you from every other person or thing. Like being able to thinks of something good, even when life is just not working in your favor, and you
Yeah.
could just remain positive and manifest something good and stay in that good energy. The sky's the limit, and the amount of things that will come into your life is amazing and crazy. So I always kept my mind sharp in terms of and having good people around me who would not bring me down but saw light in me, and even when I'm feeling down or I want to quit, they would never allow me to quit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely would say that it was hard first 2 3 years, but then after I started picking up, and it's been better year by year by year. So yeah.
Okay. And I mean, You have touched on support and saying that you don't get as much as you would have needed at the time, and even now I believe it might just be the same way. So what do you think, or what kind of support do you believe right now that you really need?
I believe when I talk about support, it's more of what you portray out there in the media because you nowadays with social media and the way that kids are daily, like on a daily on their phones, I believe more could be put out there for a kid to be inspired and to be like, you know what, I want to play that sport. Um, and I'm not just playing the sport just because, but I could see their success in there. It because volleyball wasn't really my passion when I started, but I saw success in there. That's why I found it my way out. I found it like my way out. Um, but when I talk about support, I could also touch on financial support because nowadays it's just like at the time it was my parents who used to help me get from place to place where I used to be stranded in school uniform trying to get back home because I used to be at national training and the trainers being in the city and you're not getting bus to come to Sufra at certain times. And yeah, so it was really hard in the start. Right now is more of I want that type of exposure for the kids. The same way people could be put in Darren Sammy, could be put in Levin Spencer, Julian Alfred, up and coming superstar. In schools, portraying that image of them and showing them these are the national heroes. I feel like I should be up there as well. Me, Julian B said, because at the end of the day, we're not just like I always say, we're not just going up there and making numbers. We're going championships, winning championships, going to finals. We're doing things over there, becoming MVPs, and it's not being recognized because we're not setting a national record or we're not winning something with West Indies or something like that. It's not being recognized on that level. So I've had my arguments with that. So basically, it's just that really support in terms of a kid looking at their phone and seeing someone playing a sport that they may be interested in and saying, "Oh my god, like I want to be like this guy. I want to do this like this guy. I want to do that like this guy." And they like if I don't post something like that, or if they don't follow me, they don't really see stuff like that. So in that way, I believe more in term could be done in terms of support
An
um
exposure,
and
basically,
exposure in
right?
that way. Yeah.
Okay, so as you are speaking of exposure and talking on the line that you would love if they could put something out there where students and just children overall could be inspired, right? Um, I know currently there is nothing, as I mentioned, no training, no grassroots program for our young, maybe upcoming volleyballers. Sorry. Um, what do you think about that? Do you intend, as a pro, to maybe take on that initiative to put something in place for persons who may be looking up to you?
Yes, I'm currently working on that. I'm hoping to have a tournament on the beach in about a month and a half time. I'm
Okay.
planning on it. Just hoping that it just pulls through. Um, in terms of a grassroots program, I'm currently speaking to the ministry about that, so we could try to do something down here because the sport, not only in Sufre but in in the on the whole island, is dying, and I feel like it should not be dying since we have so much going on professionally and in schools in the US because we have players playing in school in US. So um I am trying my best. It's hard playing as being a pro because I'm gone 10 months out of the year. So it's hard coming home where you just want to rest because you had a long season and you just want to put your feet up and rest, and to come home and to be doing all these different things. It's kind of stressful on the body because sometimes I like to listen to my body when it tells me to rest. And sometimes mentally, you have people should understand that when I'm overseas, it's a lot to take in mentally being alone, and COVID was still going on even when I was there last year, and being in the house in quarantine for 14 days, and you just sitting there, you alone, you could really go crazy. So yeah, I'm really trying my best to do that in schools. I want to come to the various schools in Soufrière, the Fosjak Primary School, the Soufrière Comprehensive School, the Soufrière Primary, Infant, Bouton, Etangs. I want to do that whole. I want to do all these schools, come in there, and at least play a little something with the kids, or introduce myself to them, and have the PE teachers play a little bit more of the sport with these kids, and introduce that into their program, and really make it a thing out there for these kids to learn more about the sport and want to play the sport.
Okay. Now we are still on the line of exposure. And I love that you mentioned you really want to go out there, try to mobilize the students. And that is definitely a good project that I'm hoping that will pull through for you. As I said, on exposure again, a question just came to mind. I know you used to play for the country of St. Lucia, right?
I still do.
You still do. Okay. So do you think players get enough exposure that they should in order to make it pro like you?
In terms of volleyball, it's one of these sports, man. You have to. I tell people, it's a lot of sacrifice, and I put in a lot of sacrifice to be where I am now. A lot of people think it was given, or people pushed me to be where I am now, but it's a lot of sacrifice, and I feel like players should. Yeah, you need that support, especially nowadays with the way financially things are going. Players are really crying out for that help in terms of bus money, at least. I'm even trying to give a suggestion, if you're gonna call national training, have a bit of a camp, and to have a selection of the team. You do a bit of a camp, even if you have to go to a school, bring in beds or something of that sort, but have some form of a camp, and have players come there, and if you'll have to request time off, job letters and stuff like that, we do that. But it's a lot of dedication. You have to want it. You can't just be here saying you want it, and you're not putting in work, or you're not doing like what you're supposed to do. So a lot of people are just sitting there, and they just feel like a lot of things are just supposed to be given. You don't manifest things or want something in life, and you don't work and not put in the work, and you get it. That rarely happens. So you have to put in the work. You have to show that you want it, and if you're good enough, trust me, your talents will be seen. It will be seen by somebody, some way, and even then, that person contacts you or wants you to take that next jump. A lot of people, they get to that point and they're scared, because they thinking of, oh, what if this happens. A lot of people told me, oh, Tevin, what if volleyball didn't work, or what if that didn't work? And I never thought of the what ifs, like I would not be this, or not be that. I always felt like I I had my plan A, and if the plan A crash, I'm crashing with it too. So that was just me, and yeah, sometimes you just have to go all in, and I'm not saying that method works for everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone is not like me, but you have to find what works for you, but you have to work for it.
Okay, I definitely agree. I mean, when you mentioned that you didn't have a plan B, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, wow. But then looking at it, it showed that you were very much determined, that you told yourself, hey, I am trying to get to point A, and that is where I am going to go. And if not, then, you know, I'm going to maybe sit back a little, but that was your main focus, getting there.
Yeah.
And that is very good. I mean, just before we take a short break, I really want to ask you this question. What do you think could be done, especially by the Ministry of Youth and Sports, in order to boost the sporting area?
Volleyball.
Yes.
Actually, I just had a meeting with them today, and they're planning to use, like they said, my level of celebrity to market the sport, go to schools and do different stuff. But it's a level of communication. Um, I stressed on more could be done, and more should be put onto the sport because there are people playing at the highest level in the sport. I could understand if nothing was being done, if no one, not understand, but at the same time, it would make sense to me if no one wasn't doing anything on the island. I would understand. But right now, I just feel like more could be done in that way, and like more people should they should they at least should start a grassroots program and introduce the local the local talent on the island who are actually out there doing their thing at the highest level or at school of anything or like that, something like that. And then you have these kids come in and these kids choose their path or wherever they want to go or however they want to go on with their life, and if they want to be a pro or they want to go to school or something like that. But I really, in terms of the ministry, I like I spoke to them today. I just believe in terms of putting that exposure out there, you showing it because everything is on the phone nowadays or on TV. So by portraying that image or putting that image out there that hey, we have this and this that here, the same way they would promote athletics or the same way they would promote cricket, they could do the same thing for volleyball, um, for basketball, for all these sports in San Lucia who are under the light. They should shine more light on that so then it could inspire more kids and stuff like that. I think it starts there.
Definitely. I agree with you in terms of putting more, especially in schools for our athletes. I mean, I was once part of the volleyball team at SCSS, so I
Yeah.
know what it's like. And I do believe that not much is done in order for young volleyballers to go out there, try to see, hey, okay, I'm trying to get this and that. Not even scholarships, I believe, are really available for persons in that sporting area. But of course, we will be right back. We will be talking a little more about you in your sporting area as a professional. And so I am asking all our listeners to stay tuned. To those of you viewing us online, continue to just be at your comfort zone and stay in tune with us. And of course, we will be right back.
Préparation est preneur nous qu'à manger mérité à chaque proportion, particulièrement après un désastre. Millions de conseils qui peuvent empêcher de joindre maladie. Faites attention là où acheter manger. Examinez bien pour voir si don manger et gardez pour date ou méritez pas servi encore. Là où acheter viande à la même boucher, gardez pour stamp bureau livrément. La ministre santé qui peut montrer qui viande salade examinée et est satisfait pour vendre. Pas de viande, poisson, viande poule et bien l'autre manger qui mérite rester à sous frigo pour plus que 4 litres d'eau et bien au machine. Lavez la main bien et puis savon avec l'eau tiède avant et durant temps au cas entamer viande qui peut cuite. Servez mon sur planche avec l'autre bagaille à part pour couper viande qui pas cuite. Mettez l'estomac manger cuite en frigo la même après vous servir. Et pas tienne pour plus que 2 pour 3 jours. Et les ou ka virer chauffer, fait assurer il chaud en pile. Changer, manger propre car empêcher maladie. Ouais, précaution. Si vous voulez plus d'informations, courrier bureau information santé à numéro 468 5349.
Est-ce union ça qui prépare et puis affaire important là où ka prend courir en temps cyclone. Copie originelle 4 NIS ou 4 santé ou 4 identité nationale ou papier oui medou. Faut placer un petit sac glo pas entrer boss down produit pour tuer down. Savon avec d'autres petits bagages qui à base popté. Oui, mettre papier docteur et puis produits nécessaires pour ménage conditions chroniques. Ça est important. Pour monde qui a vivre puis conditions comme diabète, pression, malche puis cancer, préparer corps et puis rester préparé. Commission ça là, arriver bonne volonté, ministre santé.
girl is champion, Caribbean girl is queen. True is for me, yeah. True is for me. Bring that body to me, yeah. Hey, I never seen a wine so dangerous. Huh? I'm moving your body just like a gypsy does. Hey, and baby, when I look into your eyes, I'm curious. Girl, I want you so much, cause I can't deny it, can't fight it. Girl, your body hypnotic, way you move, girl, erratic. Come closer, you too far from me. Can't deny it, can't fight it. Girl, your body hypnotic, way you move, girl, erratic. Come, baby, now put it on me. True ways on me, yeah. True ways on me. Caribbean girl is champion, Caribbean girl is queen. True ways on me, yeah. True ways on me. Bring that body to me, yeah. I want you to. Oh, yeah. This right here feels like a deja vu. Hey, it's like I've already been here with you, baby. Body language drawing me to you. This chemistry is two, cause I can't deny it, can't fight it. Girl, your body hypnotic, way you move, girl, erratic. Come closer, you too far from me. Can't deny it, can't fight it. Girl, your body hypnotic, way you move, girl, erratic. Come, baby, now put it on me. True ways on me, yeah. True ways on me. Caribbean girl is champion, Caribbean girl is queen. True ways on me, yeah. True ways on me. Bring that body to me, yeah. I want you to. Dip it, girl. Dip it, girl. Dip it, girl. Bring it, ring it, ring it, ring it, ring it, girl. When I'm going, dip it, I want you to. Dip it, girl. Dip it, girl. Dip it, girl. Bring it, ring it, ring it, ring it, ring it, girl. When I'm going, dip it, girl.
Welcome to Youth Voices with your host, Miss EDISA Eugene, where we focus on youth advocacy, youth empowerment in academics, entrepreneurship, sports, marginalized youth, and more. Tune in every Thursday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Youth Month 2022. Devant ensemble et toute jeunesse. Evolve. Growing youth for an inclusive and transformed society. Are you ready?
When I look at where I'm coming from, I know I'm blessed, and I close my eyes and smile. Sometimes I feel like the richest man in Babylon, and I've done my best, so everything's alright inside. Every morning, I rise, I stare at the sun. I know it is a blessing. When I look at where I'm coming from, I know I'm blessed, and I close my eyes and smile. Sometimes I feel like the richest man in Babylon, and I've done my best, so everything's alright inside. Every morning, I rise, I stare at the sun. I know it is a blessing. So when the evening comes, I lift up my eyes to the hills. I'm blessed, oh man. With my two hands in the air as far as I can. Yeah. As far as I can. I can. Yeah. My two hands in the air as far as I can. And we are back. Thank you all for staying tuned in to Youth Voices. And yes, as I said, we are going to be continuing in discussion with Mr. Tevin as to him being a professional volleyballer. And I must say that I am proud to see that we have a young man, just 26 years old, coming from the small community of Sufre and is doing so much, not just on a national level, but on an international level. And of course, Devin, I am proud of you, and I hope that you continue to strive for greatness, even when you believe like you may not be getting as much exposure or support of any kind. I want you to remain focused, keep your eyes open for your own opportunities, because most times it is us ourselves who need to go out there in order to be successful. And so I just asked Tevin to give me a song that he likes, and through interviews, I also learned that he has hidden talents. We'll be coming to that.
Ah, that,
We will be coming to that. But I know he mentioned that he loves Alpha Ali's music, and so I asked him to give me one of those that he really likes, and he just gave me My Way by Alpha Ali. And so we will be listening to this song. I want you all to listen to the words of this song. And after, of course, I will ask you, Tevin, why. Why do you love this song? What about this song that you love? And just understand you as an individual hiding all your other talents apart from you being a volleyballer. So, of course, guys, just listen to the words of this song.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I say I's me on boss. I say I's me on boss. Listen me. Hey. Enough of them gonna tell you what to live. Every rumor them about you they believe. Giving advice that they never take. Playing like them is your friend, but they more fake. But they don't know how I get through daily. They're playing saints, but their life more shady. They're minding me, but their closet dirty from you not paying my bills. Let me tell you how I feel. I do when things my way. Yeah, yeah. Chipping on the highway. Yeah, yeah. I say I's my own boss. And they can never ever kill my vibe. I say I's my own boss. And they can never ever break my stride. I doing things my way. Yeah, yeah. Keeping on the highway. Yeah, yeah. I say I's my own boss. And they can never ever kill my vibe. I say I's my own boss. And they can never ever break my stride. Madu mamele, su gade. Madu mamele, su fashion. Mamele, su babi. I say I don't care now. Madu mamele, su gade. Madu mamele, su fashion. Madu mamele, su babi. I tell you cause they don't know how I get through daily. They playing sin, but their life more shady. They're watching me, but their closet dirty from you not paying my bills. Let me tell you how I feel. I doing things my way. Yeah, yeah. Tripping on the highway. Yeah, yeah. I say I's me own boss. And they can never ever kill my vibe. I say I's my own boss. And they can never ever break my stride. I doing things my way. Yeah, yeah. Keeping on the highway. Yeah, yeah. I say I's my own boss. And they can never ever kill my vibe. I say I's my own boss. And they can never ever break my stride. Oh. They can't tell me what to do. I's a boss. Tell the bad mind and the haters. It's a new employment agency. It's a boss thing.
Yes, so I love that song too. My Way. It had me wiggling inside. I mean, I wouldn't show this on live, but yes. So My Way. I mean, I took notes of some of the words, but first I want to ask you, what line in this song really stands out for you?
uh, the whole song in itself, to be
Okay.
honest, the whole song just speaks. The song speaks for itself, Um, People don't know what you go through daily. They minding you. Yeah, just more that part there. Like they don't know really what you go through, but then everyone has something to say. Everyone has something to tell you, and they don't know your pain, what you go through, how you go through it.
Yeah.
So that in itself, like, speaks volumes to me. Yeah. So that's been my thing, my song. Alpha actually knows I'm a big fan of his from even way back when I heard his song during Hurricane Thomas he made with Martin. Um he made a Hurricane Thomas song. That's been my yeah. He's been my guy from way back, even before he turned like the Alpha Island, like we know now. Like yeah, he's always been my guy right there.
Okay. So it's nice to see that apart from volleyball, you're in love with music. And specifically, it's nice to see that you're in love with someone with the roots from our beautiful community of Sufre again. And we can see there that definitely we have talented persons coming out of Sufre. And as I said, I took some little sentences from the song. I myself, um, I do things my way. um, they don't know how I get through daily, so I'm doing it my way, right? Correct me, right? And I mean, these are some lines that I want to leave with our listeners, that you should always remember that even though some persons are upset, they don't like it, you need to do things your way. So with you, and with everyone not agreeing with everything that you say, everyone might not love the fact that you are just pushing yourself. You need to remain focused and say, hey, no one really knows how much I struggle to get how far I am today, or how I eat, even as a pro. We don't know, and I won't ask.
Yeah.
A lot of persons don't know what it has been like, just climbing up the ladder on a daily basis. So, of course, I want to encourage each and everyone who is listening to just stay focused on whatever you wish to do in life. You will always have disappointments, you will always have fight down, that's normal. But, of course, just remain focused.
And I always like to say no advice is bad advice. Whether or not it being someone tell you something bad or good, but then being knowing the difference between wrong and right on what's bad and good. No advice is actually bad advice. Like even speaking to the people who have nothing good to say about you sometimes is always good to hear these people so that you you kind of it's like you're trying to be two steps ahead, you know what I'm saying? So like they can never be ahead of you or they say something that you don't know. So you always hearing what the bad mind, like what people really thinking, what's out there, what's the new news, like what's new about me that apparently I don't even know about myself. So I like to say no advice is bad advice. You just know how to take it in and then you make your own person out of it. You make whatever information, whether it be good or bad, you take it in and you make something out of it. Take your pain and make champagne, like Pop Smoke said. So, yeah, you just take
Thanks for
in
that.
all the advice.
Thanks
Yeah.
for that. And so I want to take a moment just to big up some persons in the chat who has been with us. We have Bill Fika. Of course, he said big up Flash. We also have Alexia Alcindor. We have a young man by the name of Asha viewing as well. We have Neil James. He said big up Flash. And we have Miss Antonia Hippolyte. We have ASAP Sai watching, tuned in with us this afternoon, just to name a few. And so we want to thank each and every one of you listening to us as well for just being there. I know you are unable to interact with us virtually, but you are listening to us, and we are glad to have you. And of course, we are continuing with conversation with you, Tevin. Don't think I forgot. What are the hidden talents? I mean, we know you are a sports guy, but we know there is more to the sports guy.
Uh, I know a lot of people saw that interview I did with Winners TV, and everybody's like, he said he could sing, and oh my god,
And he can cook, yes.
I mean, I could still throw down the Sunday food, you know what I mean? The macaroni and cheese, the corn pie, baked chicken thing, I could throw that down, you know what I'm saying? I can even cook a serious bouillon, you know what I mean? I feel like my bouillon is top tier. I feel like when St. Lucia have any competitions for best cook, I should be up there, but with the bouillon side, it's like soup and thing. You know what I mean? I should be there. But the singing part, that's something that I I don't really just be. I'm so shy to that point. Like people thinking, Tevin, you shy still? Like I am still really really shy when it comes to that. I don't
He's still
really.
shy, and I'm in my head. I'm like, I'm going to ask him to give me a little sample because I mean,
Because it's not something that you do like in terms of confidence, like just be there, just sit down there singing. Like you let me sing if I have to, you know what I'm saying? I'm in the bathroom, I do my thing or but that day I was just having fun on the mic. I didn't necessarily come in and I've been drinking a lot of water. Maybe this it will sound okay, but at the same time I really want to challenge myself like that right now. If you put a sport, a ball or something in front of me, I'll challenge myself. But you tell me to sing right now that I really want to go down that rabbit hole. And maybe Bill will even try to give me trying to have me on a song, you know what I mean? Bill will try to have me on a song if I sing that too much. Or I will say I get him competition because I'll just show up in groovy, you know what I mean? Hey, let's come out with a
so
groovy
you say
song.
you're that good.
I just come out with a groovy song then that just mashing up everybody, you know what I mean? And when you check Tevin up playing volleyball again, Tevin in groovy.
But okay,
So I don't want to come and just take the shine, you know what I mean?
no problem. That's okay. But since you want to keep your shine in volleyball, I really want to ask you
Yeah.
though, if there is one young person listening to you right now who aspires, sorry, to become a volleyballer, what would you say to him or her?
I have this thing telling a lot of people nowadays. Um like what I'll say to you is like where you are now is not a representation of is a representation of your past thoughts and your past thinkings. So if you want to change something, you need to change it now so that ultimately in the future what you are manifesting or what you want it will come into fruition. But don't forget the law of detachment because when you start to grow, when you start to be a better person and you start to evolve as a person, you start to lose certain people. Sometimes it becomes friends, sometimes it's family, and you start to see people for really who they are. And you will learn how to kind of distance yourself, bring yourself back from that, and say, you know what, okay, this is not for me. I don't really want that in my life at this moment. So, uh, yeah, I always like to say, look at your thoughts now. Any young person, anything that you want it now. Think about all the things that you want, your thoughts, everything that you think about, the people you have around you. Uh, think about it now because in the future, trust me, it's gonna pay off because there were a lot of people I used to hang out with in school with a lot of people, and some persons right now I would just pass and I'd say, yo, what's up? Like, but it's not as friendly as we were like in school.
Yeah.
And there was just one friend who stayed with me from school days is Greg Charles. Like that's like my best guy. You understand? So it's always been it's for a young person, I don't want to stray off topic. For a young person, I would just say, really be careful of what you think about now, or think about all the positive things and manifest all the positive things you want in your life now, and ultimately work towards it, and it will come into fruition. But just don't forget, you will lose people along the way. When you start to create that gap, um, trust me, a lot of people will hate you. A lot of people will not like what you're doing. A lot of people would feel like they're supposed to be there and not you.
Right.
um it will make you feel bad, and then you would feel so guilty to a point where you'd want to come back and bring them up, but when you do that you lose. It's like you're gonna lose everything from that point. So it's just a matter of knowing that you will lose people along the way, whether it be friends or family, but just don't get too attached to it or too emotional to these things. And just know that that's a process of life in losing things, people, and all of that. So yeah.
Nice. Thanks for your kind words. And also, as we are wrapping up, if persons are interested in seeing what you have in store in the future and what you have been doing currently, what is going on with you, where could they find your content?
Uh, on Instagram, my name is Tevin Ferrell. On Instagram, well, my last name is Senja, but what I go as overseas is Tevin Ferrell. Everyone knows me as Ferrell. FERREL, like they like to say over there. So you could contact me on Instagram, Facebook, anything, any place of that sort. I like to tell people don't be weird because some people come up there and they are weird. Like I don't want to call anyone really weird, but some people send some messages and it's really, really untrue. I'm like, man, come on. So you contact me there. You want to know anything about volleyball, know where there's training or coaching or anything going on right now. I could lead you into some persons. Like I'd say, I'm currently trying to work on something on them doing some form of grassroots of something like an academy, like what Gig Soccer Academy
Yeah.
is doing right now. Yeah. So I just have to get the equipment and so a couple things sanctioned and so I could kickstart that ultimately before I leave St. Lucia in a couple months.
Okay. So you mentioned your Instagram. It's the same for Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any email contact number? No.
I have an email contact number. I would not rather discuss this here.
Okay, no problem.
But yeah, but they could honestly get me. I'm very responsive. I respond very quickly on Instagram or Facebook.
Okay.
So yeah, contact me on any one of these social media platforms and you would reach me. I feel like I even have a contact number on Instagram as well or Facebook. So
Okay,
yeah.
great. Well, it's good that you have everything out there, and so I'm hoping that.
You don't want any highlights of me as well? It's right there on Instagram. If you want any inspiration from anything, I have a whole bunch of that on my Instagram platform as well. So yeah.
It's good. So I'm hoping that persons will take note of this. So of course, as he mentioned, he goes by Tevin, and what's the last one?
Ferrell Senja.
Yes, Ferrel Saint Jean. So if you are trying
Or if you
to,
just type Tevin Ferrell, you'll get it as well.
yeah. So if you're trying to get a hold of him, of course you could just put this in and you will definitely find him. Of course, as he mentioned, don't be weird. So guys, don't be weird. But of course, go out and go after your dream. Try to
Like
source the information.
like I'm about to put it like Noah said, Noah sees had this thing said Pavin message me, hey rude boy. As a man, you don't tell me hey, just say yo, what going on? Like, so that's just a little joke there. But at the same time though, honestly, but overseas I think it's more of an overseas thing. Overseas you get some very, very crazy type um messages and stuff like that is very, very weird. But yeah, like I say, like for me personally, I love to help anyone. I'm for people getting the help because I did not get as much help when I was coming, so I don't want anyone to go through it because I know what that process was like, and I've seen a lot of people start that journey. They see the struggle and they just stopped. And right now, with the rise of violence and everything right now on the island, that it has a major part to play in players or athletes or people being interested in a sport and then they get there, they see the struggles in it or the lack of support in it, and they just resort to going back in the streets. And yeah, and all this is happening right now. So that's another solution. That's a solution right now. I think in terms of violence on the island and all that,
Yes.
it will definitely help get youth off the streets and into involved in different sports, no matter what the sport is, and going out there, getting something where they could help their family, even if it's $20, man. For me, not something is better than nothing. But at least these kids are people seeing that there's a way for their kid to go out there and make a living for themselves and for their family and stop the violence right now, man. Yeah,
Thank
for
you
sure.
so much, Devin, for all of this. And of course, I want to thank you for joining me this afternoon in studio. And I want to thank our listeners and our viewers for staying tuned in to You Voices this afternoon. But just before we go again, I want to big up a few persons who came in. We have Lucila Fontina, and he has a very long name, but I know he goes by the name of Clayton. and he
Oh,
said, bigger what's it? Bodage?
don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that. Just ignore,
yeah.
ignore.
He's bigging you up. And so
Yeah.
you see, you're getting the love in the chat.
But this
And
is all
so-
people from Soufre. Because
Yes.
within Soufre, I know I'm saying if it was just left for Soufre people, I know within Soufre, I'm good
But
here.
it's good to have your people
Yeah.
around you anyway.
Yeah.
And so I want you to remember that, of course, you will always have Suferians supporting you. So just remain focused, keep doing what you're doing, and yes, you will continue to strive in your sporting area. So once again, Tevin, thank you so much.
I like the way you say Soufrians. We could swear Soufrians on a whole other country for the whole island.
We
Yeah,
are.
it's crazy.
Definitely we are.
Yeah.
But again, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. And thank you all for listening. I am your host, Miss EDISA EUGENE. Thanks for tuning in to You Voices and see you next week.
Get the feelings way up in the moon. Yeah. I don't care if anybody watching us. Oh yeah. Cause this feeling and feeling so good. Yeah. When I wine on you, you tell me wine on you.